What's up, guys? David here, and welcome to the Fit Pro Daily. A new week means a brand new topic. And this week, we're going to look at business development, things that we need to do in order to keep moving our business forward. And there's no better way to start off than inviting Josh on. Josh is the owner of Evo Fitness in Manchester. He also owns a Jiu Jitsu studio. He also owns a music studio. And you're going to really have an insight now into what it is like and insight into different ways to grow your fitness business than ways that we usually think about. So enough of me talking, but also I need to let you know there is a cut halfway through the video where the audio and the video gets a little bit messy, but you'll know because we kind of cut that out and we go straight in. Anyway, here is Josh with this week's guest interview. Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to this week's guest interview. This week we have Josh, all the way from, looks like it's sunny Manchester, it looks like in the background there.
Yeah, it's sunny. It's a boiling day. It's bank holiday as well, but still being in Manchester, we've still got the prison cell windows to keep everything safe, even if it is warm.
I appreciate you coming on this bank holiday. Yeah, I know it's quite a usual one because it's so hot, it's so nice. I'm guessing people are either going to be watching this or they'll just be out enjoying the day off, or probably still working at the same time, as most fit pros tend to work.
No, it was great. Pleasure to come on and finally speak to you, really. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. So this is quite an interesting one because obviously you connect with people on Facebook, and you know that they've maybe got one studio or two studios. But when we spoke the other week about this, you're like you've had 5 places and you've set up a music school. So I'm guessing there's going to be lots of stuff that a lot of people who have no idea who you are, or maybe some people who've heard about you or they've seen some stuff, are really going to get to know more about how you've done it all. But the first question I ask everybody is, how did you get started in the fitness industry?
So I'm 32 now, and I got qualified when I was 19, so I have a qualification for quite a while. I was somebody that's had probably a different journey to a lot of people. So I left school straight away going to a job. So I've worked in many other different industries as well, and sampled other types of workplaces outside of the fitness industry. So before I got my qualifications, I'd already worked in a bank, selling mortgages and loans and things like that. I'd worked as a cleaner even. I'd worked in retail, face-to-face sales, blah, blah, blah. But I finally got my qualifications. I was always into fitness, competed in sport and things at a young age. So it seemed a natural path to go. But the big hurdle for me until I was 19 was affording that qualification, to be honest with you. So I eventually managed to get the money together and did it. Did a qualification. Did very, very short period in a commercial gym. This was back when commercial, because I was 20, this is 12 years ago. This was back when commercial gyms, I think, were still finding their feet with the PT model. And they would just stuff loads of PTs in each gym, especially the one I was in. And I was only young at the time, and there was a few young guys, there was a few older guys, and the older guys seemed to be doing well. The younger guys were just not doing so well, basically. It was a gym where everyone was fighting over very, very minimum clients. It was a super gym, not many, I might sound negative now, but ultimately there wasn't loads of work to go around. And I quickly realized that I'd already been making good money doing other things, and people were there, even the top earners were struggling to make what seemed like minimum wage. So I quickly realized that environment wasn't for me, and I started to go on my own straight away. And already I was doing PT, like going around people's houses and things like that. And I really enjoyed that. It was an environment where I felt like I was running a proper business rather than just going around offering free sessions. That just doesn't seem like the way to do it. But then after that, I ended up getting jobs in other areas. I ended up getting a job in the supplement industry, working in retail there. And my journey continued for a while, going into different sales roles, because that's really where I always seem to find myself making more money. And then I decided to get back into the fitness industry about 24, 25, which is when I set up my first business that turned into a studio. So initially it was a one-to-one, then it became group training. This was 7 years ago now. And this is the business that evolved into being Evo, which still exists now, 7 years in. And it's just gone on from there, really.
Yeah. So it's like you've kind of
gone in, gone out, and gone back in, and you've learned many things. Let's go back to when you first qualified. And why did you initially want to become a fit pro back then? Was it something you always wanted to do? Because I know you said you were saving the money. Was that already planned, or was it just like one day you thought, you know what, I think the fitness industry is where I need to be in?
I'll be honest with you, I can't remember that moment where I thought I want to be a personal trainer. I can remember though, because I actually did work experience in a gym when I was 15. But when I was 15, I was about 3'2" and about 4 stone. So I remember thinking like, I'd love to be a personal trainer, but it felt like so far away from a realistic prospect, I guess. Everyone seemed so big, and I was always somebody that I felt like would have to convince somebody I was a personal trainer and I knew what I was talking about. And obviously when you're 15, you think you're going to be that size your whole life, don't you? And you think, oh God, I'll never be big. But yeah, so I think when I got to 16, 17, things like that, I started to fill out a bit more and stuff, and it became more of a realistic thing for me to do. I started to, even though I was always into sport, I suppose I started to look more of the part when I was about 19, 20. And then it started to feel a bit more of a realistic thing. But I must be honest, even at 19, when I was getting a qualification, I never could imagine myself making loads of money. I was just happy to make a living doing what I thought I enjoyed. And like a lot of people, there was some people in there that were really driven on the course. There was some people on the course that I'd be surprised if they lasted in the industry more than 2 weeks. It was just a real mix of people, as you probably know yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so you qualified, you went into this a commercial gym. So there'll be people watching or listening to this who are in that commercial gym environment now. I know for you, you said you knew it just wasn't the right fit for you then. But if you had to go back there now, knowing what you know now, what should fit pros be doing if they are in a commercial gym and that really is the only option they have? How can they really make this work for them, do you reckon?
I think the key thing is, because I'm very confident now. I'm so experienced. I've seen it all, not seen it all, but I've done a lot in the industry and lots of different industries. I'd be confident of going to a commercial gym now and cleaning up, but I'm a no better a coach now than I was then, just to be clear. It's just I know more about how to position myself and things like that. I think the first tip I'd say right away, I think commercial gyms obviously have changed a lot over the years, but the most important thing is you've got to make sure you're still portraying a professional business. So it's very easy in a commercial gym to devalue yourself and just offer yourself out to everybody at the lowest price and think, not even the lowest price, but doing free sessions, et cetera, and just hope that if you speak to enough people, you'll get clients. I think it's still possible in a commercial gym to position yourself as a real specialist, to position yourself as somebody that deserves to be paid a higher amount. And this goes as far as the environment where you say your consultations. If you're say going to have a meeting with somebody, a consultation, whatever you want to call it, just because you're based there doesn't mean you have to do it there. I would always take them to the fanciest coffee shop, restaurant, and create that environment and that feel of a professional product. And then it goes as far as free sessions. I've got no problem giving people free time, and that could be a coffee and things like that. But if you go for a coffee and a sales meeting or whatever you want to call it, that for me isn't devaluing what you do. But giving people a free session is, I think that straight away says, this is something I can afford to give away for free. So why would you pay for it? So time for free, yeah, but not your product for free. And I'm sure it's the same with your game and lots of people's games where you'll give people a test drive, but you're not going to let them take it home for a few days. That's just putting them in the power position right away.
I think there's three key things you mentioned there. The first one was definitely become a specialist rather than a generalist. You mean a handyman charges £10 an hour for work, but a plumber is going to set you back £50 an hour because he is a specialist. So I'm guessing when you do go into these commercial gyms, be a little bit more specific. Don't say yes to everybody. Make it seem like you are real specific. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the nail on the head with everything. I think we can all agree that if we wanted to learn something, we're always going to go to the specialist in that area, rather than somebody that could probably teach you it, but they can also teach you lots of things. Everybody wants a specialist generally, don't they? So, and then the other thing I didn't mention, a commercial gym is, I've been given this tip many times before from people that I've got lots of friends, you see, that have completely smashed it in a commercial gym, and they always say, be the person that everybody knows your name, make sure you know everybody's name, because ultimately business and sales comes down to relationships, and it always will do, no matter how far technology goes. It's always about if you're the most liked, you're always got a great chance of being the most successful. I think straight away you put yourself in a position.
I think the second thing you mentioned as well about taking prospects out of the gym and having a coffee in somewhere nice or just somewhere away from the gym makes it look like you're selling more of a package, a proper program, rather than just a one-to-one PT once a week in the gym and you never speak to them ever again. You're only charging per hour. Whereas when you're taking them out to the coffee shop, you can sell it as a complete program, I'm guessing. And then the final part you mentioned was not for free. How can you convince somebody without having to do a free session then that you are a good fit for them? What kind of tactic could you give on that?
Well, I think ultimately that's where it comes down to sales. You've got to build that rapport and that trust. And like with there's many different industries again where you can look at and be like, you can see that nobody actually gets to like, for example, a quality hotel. You're not going to get to lay on the bed for half an hour before you get to pay for the room. So that comes down to positioning yourself as someone that provides quality, and that comes from reputation, rapport, and trust. And then ultimately, if they like you and they trust you and they want to buy off you, then they'll do it. But I think we all know that the people that do demand a free sample or to see something before, that usually comes from a place of them doubting whether they actually want to go ahead with this. Sometimes I feel like people are looking for an excuse not to go ahead. I mean, we don't do tours or anything like that at my studios. And whenever somebody genuinely asks for a tour, the amount of people that then no-show because it wasn't the tour they wanted, they just weren't ready to actually buy, or they were still doubting. So many people then no-show and they have another reason why they can't do it. So I think, like I say, if people want to buy, they'll do it without a free sample or a free session. Because ultimately, what are you really going to see in that free session? They're just seeing whether they like you. And you should be able to get that across with a coffee or something. Because they're not going to come out of there with a six-pack, are they? It don't matter how good you are. So they're not going to actually see any results. They're just going to see if they like you. And like I say, I think you can get that across with a coffee or whatnot. And especially if you buy the coffee, that's a straight away a nice gesture, and it puts you in a good position off the bat.
Cool. Okay. So we've covered the commercial aspect of it now. Hopefully people listening who are in commercial have a good understanding of things you can do. So let's move into the studio first. Do you have 5 currently, or have you had 5 in total previous?
No, so I've never had a gym that's gone under or closed. They're still running. So
I've got 5 gyms.
Just to give you an overview. So I've got 5 gyms. So 4 of them are partnerships, by the way. So I'm not the full owner of all of them. So I've got Evo, which is my initial one. Like everyone generally starts out with the first place. Then I went into a partnership for a Jiu Jitsu academy, which is obviously a really fast growing martial art. And that was working in a church hall for the first 3 years, and it's just moved into its first full-time premises. Also a partner, so I bought shares in a gym as well in Greater Manchester. That's with a friend, so that's another partnership. And then I've opened 2 more studios this year during the lockdown. So we've just opened 2 on the April 12th last month.
Nice. Okay, so let's go for the biggest struggle most people have.
5 studios at the moment. They're all similar.
That's okay. So let's look at the biggest issue most people have when it comes to studios, which is finding a studio. How do you go about actually tracking down somewhere good to work from? And is there any tips of places they should really be looking for?
Yeah, so what I've always done is I'm always the kind of person I say my goal was never to have a gym. I want to have a successful business. So I never let the size of the gym and things like that dictate. I'm always looking for the right studio to fit the business model. So I'll have always created the idea and the brand and things like that before I get a studio. Sometimes I've found the studio first, but I have lots of ideas that could fit each potential type of studio and size. So all mine are very small generally because my business models are always to have small, efficient businesses. I never like to start with a huge debt or anything like that. I like to get into profitability ASAP. So that's always the number one priority for me, get into profitability ASAP, because I think momentum is key. So my point is, I get look for small ones, and I would just keep it simple, and I usually just simply keep on top of Rightmove. Looking every few days, you can obviously look at what's my last 24 hours, 3 days, 5 days. And over time, because I'm constantly looking at places, I've built contacts now. So I have landlords that will now approach me when they have something come on the market. Because I think the key is you do need to be ahead of the game a little bit. So this last studio I've just got, which I'm in now, this, I believe I would never have got this if it wasn't in a pandemic. It's such a great location and spot, and it's the kind of thing I believe might never have reached market. So I believe people would have probably got this who have better contacts than me if there wasn't a pandemic. So I think you've got to be on top of it. I think you've always got to be looking. I think you've got to be flexible as well. You can't say I want a space that's 1,500 square feet and it's got to have a mezzanine and it's got to have toilets. You've got to be willing to work with it. So I'm always pretty flexible, and I understand that if I find something that's a bit bigger, I can change the model a little bit to create more revenue. But ultimately, it's got to be profitable quickly for me. That's my number one priority. I'm all about efficient businesses, because I think if you take too long to get to profit, you start to doubt the whole thing. And when doubt sets in, that's when you don't. If you're trying to make decisions purely for money, I think that's when business isn't fun. I think I like to do things that interest me, excite me, but also make money.
Yeah. So that's 3 good things. Keep checking Rightmove, make some connections and networks and stuff, and just seeing who knows what. And obviously don't go for the massive, crazy buildings, and don't look for perfection. See what you can play around with. Okay, so you say you have a small unit and you keep the crowd small and stuff. Is there some sort of trick or plan or marketing setup you believe that you can implement in any type of situation to make it work?
Yeah, so as I've got along, so my older studios, obviously the first one was 7 years ago. All I've done as I've gone along to present day, which was this year, is I've simplified my business model, and I've stripped things back. So I've not added, I've took things away. So I've gone from a business that may have had 3 or 4 products at first, and now in this new one, I just have one. I'm not saying that's the best thing to do, but I'm trying to keep things simple because I want to keep opening studios and other businesses, and I've got other things that I want to try. So I can't afford to have a big bulky business that has loads of moving parts. I want to keep it really simple. And when it's simple, it means I only require less staff. And once again, it's a lot more profitable. If my gym, this one, for example, here, if it wasn't a success, it would mean a small profit. It wouldn't mean losing money. So it going really well means lots of profit. It going badly would mean a small profit, but at the end of the day, it's still profit. So all I've done is simplified the model as I've gone along. I try and reduce the outlay at the beginning. Everyone's probably heard of MirrorFit by now. I almost know the kit list that I'd have right away. And what I do is I get the bare minimum at first, and then I add as I go along. That's another mistake people make, I think, at the beginning. They have this incredible gym when they open the doors, and it gives them nowhere to go. You can only go backwards. It's like when you get these big commercial gyms, Pure and stuff. When they open on day one, that's as good as it's ever going to look ever. And if you've got 10 ski ergs when you open, and then 2 years later you've only got 8, people will moan. But if you only had 8 in the first place, no one would even notice. So I think keep it really efficient and profitable, and then add with profits as you go along. So really small outlay. I mean, I'll be dead honest with you, this new studio is already making me profit, right? I won't go into how much, but good money, right? And it was only around about 5K all in, and that's everything.
Yeah, I think that point,
and that's a high-end product as well. We try and I was going to say that's us not chucking money at it. Yeah. We're trying not to chuck money at things. We're trying to use our skill sets and our coaching to show value rather than equipment.
Yeah, I think the part you mentioned about the equipment is key. Like when we opened DK9 in Cardiff, it was minimum equipment, but then the clients see you adding equipment, not consistently every now and again, and that keeps them excited and not going stale with their environment because they're continuously seeing the gym grow. But like you say, if you've got everything initially and then a piece of kit breaks and you can't afford to replace it, then the gym's going down the hill then, isn't it?
That's exactly it. Because at the end of the day, at our level, when we do micro gyms, what we're really selling is coaching and community. What the big gyms and these other big independents can't compete with us is caring more. We've got less clients generally, so we can genuinely know each journey and everyone's story and know them and coach them properly and get the results. They can't compete with us on that, but we also can't compete with them on the equipment. So why do that? We need to take, for me, it's like a mixed martial arts fight. If I'm a boxer, I'm not going to try and wrestle the wrestler, or I'm not going to try and go to the ground. I'm going to take the fight where I've got the strengths. And it's the same with our products. Take the fight where we've got the strengths.
Okay, so let's look at the 5 studios then. Obviously, you can't be coaching in every single studio, doing the martial arts, doing the music and all this other stuff you've got going on. So talk to me about staff then. How do you find reliable, dependable, great staff members?
Yeah, so I've worked with a few mentors now, and one of the people that helped me with this, I've had Rick Moylan really helped me back in the day, and still now is a good friend of mine. And Justin Devonshire, who I know you're working with yourself now, in some ways, was a really useful person to help me with staff. So we try and, so when I've opened this latest one, for example, I always try and get going right away. I said to you already, get into profitability quickly, and that means we can then give pretty good roles quickly, rather than, I think some people they'll hire staff too soon and they give them a role which requires them to maybe not get, for example, pay them high for very few hours. Whereas if you can give them a proper role from the beginning, it's a lot better for the business efficiency wise, rather than we all know if you give someone 2 hours a week, it needs to be worth the while. If you can wait and give them a proper role from the beginning, you can get a fair wage both ways. Then they're getting good money and security, but you're not paying over the odds. So that was something that I learned from Justin, making the roles clearer and a lot more black and white, rather than these grey areas where you'd make it up and build it around the individual. But for me, it's not really about the staff. It's more about good business partners. So now I will often go into business with somebody that will bring a real good skill sets in that industry, who will help manage the team. To be honest with you, I'm in some of my businesses, I'm not managing the team. So I will often have somebody like the music business. My business partner is the music expert. I can barely play an instrument. Well, I can't play an instrument. I've had to go. So he looks after that and the tutors and the contacts. And I'm now doing a lot of the systems and things like that, which is the same on all of my businesses. So the systems and the sales is where I will bring my value from the beginning, because being an experienced salesperson, I think I can get the business growing and profitable quite quick, which isn't scalable. At some point, I have to pass the sales on, but I will get the business from nothing to profitable before I pass it on, if that makes sense. Where that, if I was to pass the sales on to somebody else at the beginning, it might take us years to get profitable. I will get us profitable really quick because I'll really put everything into it. And then we can take our time more growing. So I think the key is passing actually taking staff on at the right times, not too early and obviously not too late. So obviously I have to keep my hands free to an extent with running a few businesses. But at the beginning, I will be a full part of the launch plan. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. I'm all in. I'll get the plate spinning. And once the plate's spinning, that's when I bring the team in. But as far as, like I say, business partners is key. I only work with people I really like, people that I want to win with, if that makes sense. These are genuinely people that I've met I've got friendship with. I don't just randomly pick people. I choose people that I actually want to spend more time with. That's key, I think, especially if things go through bad patches. It's great. It's much better to do it with somebody that you enjoy spending time with. But like I said, with staff, I'm really about being fair. So I'll never offer somebody a cheap or crap deal just to get more profit. I try and hire people with the idea of keeping them long term, and I give them. I'm honest with them. I trust them, and I pay them well, and I just expect that respect backwards, basically. So That's how I do it. I try, and whenever I take on a staff member, I put a lot of energy and thought into it, basically. And I really, once again, like the business partner thing, I know I'm going to spend more time with them. So I really, I'm happy to take a punt on somebody that I like, basically. I've hired many friends before, which I know a lot of people have had trouble with. I've never had any trouble with, because I've always, it might sound arrogant, but I believe that working for me is a great job, because I really look after people, pay them well, and I want to see them do well.
Yeah, so there's definitely key aspects that to take away. Like, be completely clear with what you expect and require from this person, so there's no confusion about what is going on. If you can take somebody on full time instead of kind of random or part-time hours, because then they have much more security in their job as well. I think that's a massive point as well.
Yeah, because security is valuable in itself, isn't it? So if there's no security, I think you've got to pay way more, haven't you? You can't expect someone to come in and say, "Oh, we'll build your role as a business builds." That's not really what's in it for them, unless it's just short-term fast cash. So whenever I take someone on, don't get me wrong, I did all this in the beginning. I took people on paid hire, but they deserved it, in my opinion, because they helped me build the business. They really did. Whereas now, I don't really need help building the business. I'll build it, and the business partners will build it, obviously. The team just need to come in and do what they're good at. And if they can do their role, we'll look after them forever. And just to be clear, a couple of people that have worked for me have become my business partners. So I always say, without trying to overpromise too much, when you come and work for me in one of my studios, you can almost write your own check. If you're really bringing value and continue to bring value, I'll keep upping the wage or increasing what your role is. Or there's nothing to say that you can't move to another studio and do manager, or go into business with me one day, or whatever. There's no rules, is it? At the end of the day, like for yourself, you're making the rules, aren't you? So if somebody brings an incredible amount of value, then the sky's the limit, isn't there? At the end of the day. So that's the way it is, I suppose. I think good staff can go as far as they want to go.
So let's look at the partner thing then, because you don't see this very often, especially with people opening 2 or 3 studios. They'll maybe have a central manager that controls all the staff, and maybe they're the manager as well, so they're covering everything. So why did you go down the partner route, where you're having to give up a certain percentage of the business?
I missed that bit at the end of the thing. Did you say what about the certain percentage thing?
Why did you go down the partner route instead of just getting a manager to manage everything?
Yeah, so once again, I think whenever I build a business, I'm looking long term. So hiring a manager is still a short term kind of outlook, in my opinion. I'm not saying it can't be there for 20 years and you couldn't hire another one, etc., etc. But when I'm looking to build a business, I'm looking to build foundations that could be here for 30, 40 years. And I want to eventually have the freedom to step back whenever I want and go on long breaks if I want to, etc., etc. And I think having a business partner there allows you to truly switch off when you need to, and switch roles. And I really like the idea as well of sharing a journey. Like I'm not embarrassed to say that business is one of my greatest hobbies. So I'm really enjoy it. So when things go well, it's amazing to share that with somebody, especially if it's someone that you're close to and a friend. And then when things aren't going so well, we'd be lying if we didn't say that we'd like someone to kind of share that with as well. Because I've run businesses on my own, and when things are stressful, it's literally just you, isn't it? You can speak to your partner or friends, but it is really just you and your own thoughts. I've been out many times. I've just sat there, not present whatsoever, because something's happened and it's all on me. Whereas sharing, it's made a big difference. And like I say, I think I feel like I'm good at launching businesses now, and I've got no issue sharing that percentage wise with somebody, because it allows me to truly go on. I think when you do run it on your own, and it might be different for everybody, I'm not trying to speak on everybody else's behalf, but I feel like you can just share, keeping that plate spinning. I think if I didn't go into business partnerships after my first business, I might have had to stop after maybe 3 or 4, I don't know. Or at least, like you said, bring managers in and really leave it on to somebody else to run. But I suppose the manager route could be better. But for me, I just really like the idea of getting somebody in a partnership who's fully as invested as you are, and like I said, sharing that with them, whether it's good or bad.
Okay, cool. So the first part of this title is sales. Have you got any like 3 or 4 ninja sales tricks or sales strategies or stuff that's worked consistently and that you're still using now that people should really consider?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, so just to give you a bit of idea of my background, so I've been selling for 16 years. I've sold, like I said, mortgages and loans when I was 16, which was very difficult. When you're 16, you've got no hair on your face and you try to tell people about mortgages. So that really improved my sales skills right away. I've sold face-to-face mortgages, loans, supplements, but I've also sold on the phones, which is the most challenging thing ever, because we can have a busy day in our industries now and say we've had 10 calls. I was doing 100 plus. So the amount of experience you can get when you're working in a call center selling broadband and things like that is unbelievable. So this is taken from those. And what the number one tip I have, which really contradicts what a lot of people in our industry, it supports what a lot of people say out of our industry, but in our industry, there's this thing where people talk about making people feel pain and things like that to sell. I completely disagree with that. I'm not saying it's wrong, because I think everyone should develop their own sales strategy. And I think your sales strategy should just be an extension of your personality. So this whole following scripts and things like that, I'm not a big fan of. I think you should. So if you were to sell to me, David, I would expect you to sell to me as if you were selling your mate onto a night out next weekend. You don't need to suddenly start going to scripts. Just convince me to come out next weekend. It's the same thing. I know so many people that are socialites or whatnot, or a proper laugh. They tell me they can't sell. It's nonsense, because these people, they can sell anything on a night out, whether even if they're just telling their mates that they should come out with them, or they should do this, or come on holiday, or that's selling. So first of all, don't overcomplicate it. But the number one tip, I didn't get to the point. The number one tip is, I believe you should make people smile when you're selling to them. So it's the complete opposite. So David, if you was at the Trafford Centre now and I approached you in a clothing shop, if you're having a great day and you're having a laugh and I come over and we're having a laugh together, are you more likely to buy clothes, or would you rather me make you feel like crap and say that your belly's hanging out?
Yeah, you've got that bond really quickly.
You want to feel good. You want to feel good, yeah. Nobody's like, it's the same with like anything. If you're buying a car, let's be honest, I've seen people in the industry better than me at talking about this, but sales is storytelling. So if you're there to buy a car, you've already envisioned what it's going to look like when you're in the car with your sunglasses on, and what it's going to be like to drive through your town and people see you. So that all comes from feeling great and feeling awesome. So I don't really like the whole idea of making people really feel down and, oh my God, I have to get this or I'm screwed. I think you make people feel good, you have a laugh, you get them into a jovial mood, and that's when they want to buy. When they're smiling, they want to buy. And it's the same. This is the thing that I think people could do a lot better in our industry. You look to other industries and see what they're doing well. Yeah. We look too much in our own industry, I think. And if you look at other industries, people buy more when they're happy. And often people buy more when they're already buying as well. So don't always be ready to secure the first sale. So basically, long story short, point one is, I believe you should get people, build a rapport, have a laugh, get them smiling, and they'll buy more. And one of the best things I heard recently is a friend of mine, business partner, Lloyd, who's a business partner on Faction. He says, whenever he hears me selling, it sounds like I'm speaking to a mate and I've just started talking to them. So that's the key. You talk to them informally because it builds trust. They're not talking to a robot. It's a normal person who's genuine, and they're just recommending this product that they believe in. And it's as simple as that. So point number one is that.
I think it's definitely more relaxed when you come across that way as well. Because if it's that they're not used to the gym, they're scared of the gym, and then you're like all serious and stuff, that definitely puts the fence up a lot quicker and they start backing away. But I'm guessing if you come in, smile, do you want a drink, take a seat, how's your day been, what have you been up to, they feel a lot more relaxed and a lot more willing to open up and talk.
And obviously positive energy breeds positive energy. So if they've bought while being in a good mood, they're going to go to the pub and tell their friends. they're not going to go and tell their friends that they broke down in a sales call today and they bought something. That's almost embarrassing. It comes with shame. If I've bought something and I feel great and I can't wait to go, you're going to tell your mates, and that breeds referrals. And also as well, that goes with objections, because if there's good energy and you're having a laugh, but they object, you can get away with way more. So if I'm having a good chat with them and like, you're going to love it. If they go, look, I'll be honest with you, I'm just a bit nervous. I go, I'll tell you what, look, why don't you just come down this afternoon? I'll see you. Do you know what I mean? It's all good energy. Whereas, and I sometimes do that. I always take the opportunity. One of my tips I say in sales, if you get the opportunity to show your human side while on the call, take it. So for example, I've got a dog. Sometimes I do a sales call and my dog will bark. Some people will go, oh my God, they can hear the dog barking. That ruins the facade. I'll lean into that. Oh, sorry about that. That's just my dog. He's dying to go out. I'm going to take him out as soon as we finish this call. It makes you sound more human, which makes you sound more trustworthy, and they relate to you more. Nobody wants to buy off a robot, or that's why I say you should just be yourself, but a little bit of a, obviously, higher energy sales version of yourself. But you don't need to turn into somebody else. Like I said, I've met many people who have come and worked with me and they've gone, I'm not a salesperson. And I've gone, you are, because I wouldn't hire you if you don't have a personality. And if you've got a personality, you can sell. So that's a big one, I think. Like I say, develop your own style and try and think of it as persuading people on a night out. We sell all the time. Right? I could have my backpack here and you're like, oh, I like that. Right, like it, I don't know. But I'll suddenly start saying, yeah, I got it from here and it's great. Like, you should get it. That's just selling. I don't actually make money for selling those bags, obviously, but we sell to each other all the time. And we need to take a little bit of that, bottle it, and put it into our actual business sales calls as well. And I think, like I say, starting on a good footing, then goes through to the rest of everything. That'll get you more Google reviews because they're feeling good about it. That'll be great for upsells. That'll be great for selling onto the back end. I think also when you sell in a negative frame of mind as well, that is a fast track to buyer's remorse. In that moment, you might have got them, but when they kind of come back to reality again, or you take them out of that emotional state, that's when I think they're going to start regretting it. And it brings, like I said, shame. I might have got a bit over the top, but I just mean, grand scheme of things, people want to feel good when they're buying something, in my personal opinion. And I think so many people could get better quickly by doing that.
Okay, so closing everything now, okay, you own 5 businesses that are doing really, really well. What general tips out of everything you've done, all your years of knowledge, all your years of sales, what are the like final 2 or 3 tips that you can give to people listening to this who are feeling super motivated now to actually go out there and just get it done?
Yeah, so I think number 1 is focus on the most important things. That's something I've got much better at over the years. I'm not a perfectionist at all, so I find that quite easy. Like, people talk about taking imperfect action and things like that. I'm really good at just doing the important things over and over consistently, boringly. Do you know what I mean? I'll do the sales calls well. I'll do the following up well. I'll look after our product well and make sure that's been adapted. I'll look after the staff well. And everything else, like things like little bits of programming at your gym, just isn't that important. Obviously, I wouldn't have businesses that have run for 7 years and not had any close if we didn't have a good product, because eventually that would come back and bite you. But our product's great, but I think sometimes people overthink that stuff sometimes, and ultimately, like I said, business is about relationships. So focusing on all the relationships, like I said already, that's your sales calls, that's your following up, that's making everybody feel valued that's there, and that's your staff and business partner relationships. That's number 1, the important thing. I think the other thing as well is the ability to make a decision, and I think that comes from getting better at objective thinking. Something I've got really good at over the years is being able to view a situation from the outside, and that comes with being really honest with yourself as well. I really know my strengths and weaknesses, so if I'm making a decision, I can make a decision on something that actually involves me and make the right call, I feel, a lot of the time. So your ability to improve your objective thinking, I think, is really key. And that goes into your management as well. So when I first got into this game, I probably was not a natural manager because I was so much of a people pleaser that I think I would always struggle, I guess. But I've worked on it so much, and I think that's one of my strengths now, and that comes from obviously building relationships and getting better at communication. And once again, that comes from not only, like I said, making a good decision, but nipping things in the bud as well. If there's a little issue, I will literally stop it there and then, rather than turning a blind eye to it, letting it take up space in my mind. Just communicate honestly with people. I think if you're honest with people, it'll solve most of the issues. And often you might have a little bit of confrontation in the short term, but to end a major problem in the long term where you've got people that hate working at your place and things like that. So objective thinking, I think, is the key, and that's the key to running a business, but also managing people.
No, they're like two great valid points at the end.
Yeah, one more pop up. So I think the other one, and like I say, shout out to Justin Devonshire because he definitely helped me with this one. I've always been somebody that's been really good at keeping an efficient and profitable business, but that he took it to another level for me and making sure that you strip everything back and you've got to focus on profit. I think ultimately so many people, they don't run a business into the ground after years. The issues were right at the beginning. So I think sometimes it goes back to that whole spending too much in your gym. I know so many people that have opened a gym and spent 50K, and they might maybe have a slight advantage over my gym with 5K spent, but we're talking slight. And then let's say they do really, really, really well. They're probably still only paying off the actual debt in year one. That's not as exciting as me making 45K profit in year one. And then I think positivity and momentum breeds more of it. I think when you're on a good run, it'll just keep going and going and going. And so I think building a business for profit for the beginning, and that comes from objective thinking again. So are you buying 5 ski ergs because it's going to make a return? Or are you buying 5 ski ergs because that's what you visioned in your head that was a dream for you at one point to have your own 5 ski ergs? So I think, like I say, it's objective thinking again, but building a business for profitability from the beginning. And if you want 5 ski ergs, you can get them, but get them out of the profits later.
True.
But to start, but yeah, I think, yeah.
Josh, I appreciate your time today. I'm guessing everybody watching this has been able to get through all these slow delays, but I think they should be feeling quite motivated now to see that you've done it in not just owning the gym, but like jiu-jitsu and music and all this other stuff that if you put your mind to it, anything is actually possible. So for people who are watching, who want to know a little bit more about you or maybe some of the other stuff that you do, I know you don't kind of like boast about this stuff, but how could people reach out and have a chat with you about maybe what you've done?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, probably the best place to get me, at Josh Aghdam. So if anyone ever has any questions, just give me a shout. Like I say, I've got nothing to sell to anybody. It's just, I just love this so much. I love the game. I love business, and I'm more than happy to have a chat with anybody anytime. And it's all about the journey for me. That's why I'm here today talking to you. I think you're really, really good at what you do. So that's another contact built for me now. And obviously we'll catch up after this properly another time. But you can never have too many contacts, never have too many relationships, and there's something to learn from everybody. But yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, feel free anytime.
Josh, I appreciate your time today. I will speak to you very soon, I'm guessing. Cheers for coming on.
So that was Josh from Evo Fitness and a few other fitness businesses and other business on the go. And it was really interesting to see and have an idea about how he's managed to set these businesses up to really make sure it just keeps succeeding each step at a time. Now, the rest of the week, we're going to focus on other business development and business strategy stuff. So make sure, if you haven't already subscribed, to press subscribe. And then I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Cheers.